My name is Sophia Stel, and I'm a singer, songwriter, producer. That's my whole spiel.
Talking about love like I know it, and in some ways I do. But I think that it's time that I show it all to you.
Making music for me sometimes feels like, yeah, half like I'm creating it and half like I'm like discovering it. Maybe somewhere already existed, and then I figured out that if those two things go together, it creates this other thing, if that makes sense. But the material was there to begin with.
So it's always fine. Just the other day, I got a bad feeling about 2028. It's something I shouldn't say, 'cause I really love you now, but love.
I think, sonically it's more a process of me like starting to make stuff and like going through, I don't know, just making beats and like starting to make just like starter ideas and seeing what is like really what I'm really drawn towards, and then like finding the first few songs.
You better walk away. So it's always fine.
I think that like I don't know if it's a process of like growing up versus like it's not maybe that linear, if that makes sense. I think like the first project versus the second, there's sort of a difference in like what instruments I chose to use, and also like the number like of instruments. The second project is a little bit slightly more simplified. That was more, when I'm making things, it's always sort of an experimental process of just like trying things that I think are interesting or will sound good, and then seeing how they work. And then I think when I'm going to make a project, I try kind of in advance to find sort of like a world sonically that I want to work in and write with, and then use that. So for the first project, it was a little bit more like open in some ways to like kind of every song could have everything. There was no limits, if that makes sense. And the second project, I tried to like simplify a little bit just to focus more on maybe like 5 or 6 sounds versus 30, and that's more on the production side. And the writing stays pretty much the same. I just do it while I'm producing and try and write about things that matter. And I think the reason I say it's the process is not like totally linear. I guess it is because it's very much like reflective of my life, like what I feel like I want to make at that time, and like what is relevant to what I'm going through. And everything that I make is pretty directly reflective of my life and my experiences. And so it's like the projects kind of change with that more than with anything else.
I'm tortured, you love, you hate, you think about me naked a lot, baby face it. I'm wrong, punch and basic, I'm wasted, a certified replacement, a facelift, I'll take it.
I think the song is really fun, and I'm glad that it's kind of, I don't know, it's had some impact and like made its way into a lot of people's lives, I guess. And it was somewhat unexpected, but also like I knew the song was really fun. Like once I made it, and the process of making it was really cool. I was walking around, and I was like, at that point I was just like living in a neighborhood, and my apartment really sucked, so I was like always just wandering around the neighborhood to like not be in the apartment because it was like so dark. And I was like wandering around, and then I basically just like the whole like I'm tortured, you love it, you hate it, you think about me naked, like that whole like phrase just like formed in my head pretty just like effortlessly, and I was kind of like laughing, like thinking about it and walking around. And then I got back to my house, and my best friend Aaron was like waiting for me on my curb. I played him the beat, and then I kind of just like sang him that part where we were out on the curb, and he was like, let's go to the studio right now. He kind of like gave me that encouragement that I needed, because I was like, oh, it's dumb, like because I just was like, I was kind of like throwing away ideas a lot at that point because I didn't feel like committing to them. And he helped me to like commit and finish the song, and we finished the song pretty quickly that night. And then just like had it, and we're like, oh, this is just so fun, like we were just like listening to it over and over again, like so excited. And I don't know, it was a really fun feeling and a really cool thing to share with my best friend, obviously. It's sonically quite different than those other songs, but I think like I was still like feeling those same feelings. It's just kind of a different manifestation of them, I guess. You know, that heartbreak that I was talking about, that I was like experiencing when I was making I'll Take It, kind of like that was like the fresh kind of like when it had just happened, and Taste came like probably 3 or 4 months later in a different phase of it, if that makes sense. And I think in a phase where I was ready to, you know, maybe write about it more kind of clearly. And it's cool. The whole project was made, and I worked at this club, and during the weekdays it's closed, so I like would use it as a studio and just set up my stuff. And somebody left behind, one of the artists that played there like left behind this cool old synth, and a lot of the stuff I make is just on my computer, but I like to, obviously it's cool when there's other tools. And like basically the synth was left there, and it had probably been there for like 6 months, and I was like, I think I can just like start using this. And then I made almost the whole song with that little synth, and just like layering things, and just kind of recorded a bunch of takes of the whole song, and then just like played it over each other, and didn't really change it too much or edit it after for the main part of the song. And then yeah, it's very simple for that reason, and I was really like excited to make it all almost with this like one thing, because I like I was saying before, I think it's really, it's cool to I don't know, it's cool to like be specific for certain songs and like use specific things that I think translate, and it was very natural, and it was, again, like kind of same, I mean, it's the same room that I made I'll Take It in, kind of same situation, but just more on my own, like just late at night, and yeah. I think that I've always just been most interested in like trying to make something new, and so kind of the process of like learning other people's songs, or like learning songs on these instruments, or those kinds of things, like always kind of like very quickly, like I was saying with that piano song, Pachelbel's Canon in D, I was like, I was writing over it, like I was like trying to make it into, something new, and I've always kind of had that experience when I've learned an instrument, like even with the guitar on How to Win at Solitaire, like I learned some guitar growing up mostly from my older brother and YouTube, and then I hadn't really played much guitar for years, like enough, like I will play it on songs every now and then, especially when I'm recording, like I'd record little parts here and there and kind of always had a guitar around. But for How to Win at Solitaire, I like really practiced and kind of found certain things that, like guitar parts, I really wanted to use it and get better at it, and kind of use the process of making the project to like become better at the guitar again. And so I think my approach to like musical instruments or learning them has always been very much so motivated by the idea that I'm like gonna make something with this as I get better. And so for whatever reason, that's what motivates me. And I find I can like apply myself a lot more effectively to things if I feel like I'm gonna, especially like technical skills, if I know I'm gonna use it in a project, then I'm a lot more motivated. But I don't really like, I don't know, I feel like I do kind of switch up what I'm interested in doing a lot of the time, especially when it comes to like instruments or production styles and stuff. It's like I always kind of want to be doing something that's exciting to me, and that's the thing that matters the most, I guess. This whole block filter melted to my lips, purple from your hands and hips, barely where I see too much, can't explain all with a grudge. Is this a waste of time? I don't feel like you're mine at all. Look it out and what they say. I need more than you today. I need more than you today. Man, I don't know, pop music in general, I think that like I find, especially in times of like when I'm more sad or like more heartbroken, I tend to make more of that stuff, like more fun stuff. And part of that's like, I think the juxtaposition of like making something like really fun and like for a club. And then part of that is like when I am going through heartbreak, I like, you know, party more than ever, and I like am out and about, and like I'm, you know, there's a part of heartbreak that I think like you know, everybody does that. You find yourself in all these places, like, yeah, maybe you spend time like isolating and feeling sad, but then you also like go out and you're like meeting all sorts of new people and doing things that you you maybe wouldn't have done while you were in a relationship or in that other thing, because you're like you know, you just need to fill the time, and you need to like, there's something I always say, like when I'm newly single especially, where I'm like, oh, my days like just feel like they're 1,000 hours long, because it's like there's so many things that I'll just like keep doing and like, you know, all day, whereas versus like this feeling of like, you know, maybe consistency or comfort is like gone, so you just like looking forward to other places and not. I find that's often where you find a lot of really cool things in your life, is kind of in that aftermath where you have to just like remind yourself of your independence and also like become comfortable with it again, and become comfortable with, you know, I don't know, it's a new phase every time. It's a personal renaissance.